Hey everybody, you're watching another episode of Crypto Events Announcements. My name is Eugene Romanenko. I'm your Crypto Emcee, and my today's guest is Mr. Jon Jordan. He's blockchain game journalist, communication director at DappRadar. He's from UK right now, and he's also the speaker at CGC conference, which will be hosted in October 10th and 11th, hosted by Andriy Sharonevich and its brilliant CGC team in Kyiv, Ukraine. So, John, thanks for joining us.
Not a problem. Glad to be here.
For those who don't know who you are, tell us please briefly what you do in the industry.
What do I do? Yes. So I've been writing about the games industry for 20 years now. Started off kind of console, did mobile for about 10, 15 years, been in blockchain for the last kind of year and a half. So I'm really interested in games. I'm also really interested in the business kind of behind games. So that's really what I'm interested in. And for me, blockchain is fascinating because it has this very different sort of business model. It's not really about developers making content and people paying for it. This is more about developers making content, people buying it, people selling it to themselves, people maybe making content as well. The developers are not in control in the same way. It's much more community focused, I think, or will become so. And obviously we have this idea of kind of ownership, kind of ownership of items, NFTs that can't be taken away from people. So I think it's really fascinating, very early stages. So I'm just interested to see kind of what everyone gets up to.
That's great. Why have you decided to share your ideas and your experience in Kyiv at the CGC conference?
Yeah, well, I think there's lots of great speakers. I mean, I spoke at the conference in Belarus a few 6 months ago now. And I think it's really interesting when you come to conferences that the developers will talk about their game and they'll get into lots of detail about their game, how it works, the interactions, why they're excited about it. But what I found, not just in blockchain, but in general, there's not many people who give like a broad overview of what's going on. And I think that's one thing journalists are quite good at doing, or sometimes can be good at doing. As a journalist, I know a lot of things on a very kind of shallow level. So I don't know. I play some games, obviously, play quite a lot of games, but I'm not a game developer, so I don't think very deeply about game design like a game developer does. But I play a lot of games, and I know a little bit about a lot of things, and I think that can be quite useful when you talk about trends. So I think we're very early at the moment in blockchain games, so lots of people are trying lots of different things. And I think people are therefore interested to see, did that work? Did that not work? Should I be kind of looking to do this sort of thing? So hopefully that's what I try and do. And I'm also very interested in data. So I'm working for DappRadar, your most trusted source of data about dApps. And so I try to kind of put these trends, and I try to be quite clear about, what's the data? How many people are playing these games? How's that changed? Has that one gone down? What's the volume? How much ETH or EOS are people spending in these games? So I try to kind of combine the two things.
What will you be speaking about in Kyiv?
Yeah, well, very much those things. So I think at the moment we've kind of come out. I guess the start of 2019 we had this crypto winter, and things kind of started getting exciting again in terms of Bitcoin price, which is not really about games, but we started to see a lot of developers kind of been working on games for a year and a half coming out now. So we've got games like Crypto Space Commander coming out fairly soon. That's pretty high profile. They've got their sale going on at the moment with Star Trek items. We've got games like Blanco's Block Party. We've got projects like the Sandbox, like a Minecraft on the blockchain. And I think we're starting to see these kind of quite high profile games coming out. So it's interesting to look at those and then look back at the data and see, are these successful? And even there's some games that have been going for a while now. So My Crypto Heroes is a great example. It's a game out of Japan. It's quite Japanese, quite grindy. Quite hard to get into actually, but we've seen steadily throughout 2019, really strong growth. So I think it started the year with about less than 200 DAUs, and now it's almost up to 3,000. So I'll be looking at some of the games and trying to pull out these trends, and particularly looking at which have been successful in terms of users. I really like to see people coming back and playing these games every day. I think that's pretty successful.
So by your opinion, what are the main trends right now in the industry by conjunction of gaming from one side and blockchain on the other side?
Yeah. Well, I think they're two very different things. I think we often forget this, or I often forget this, that blockchain is, we get a bit carried away. It's just a technology. It's not nothing. It's clever, but it's not anything more clever than it's just some computers doing some interesting stuff in a non-centralized way, however that works out. And that's interesting for data storage. Games have data storage, but games are not about data storage. That's not very exciting to play a data storage game. So we have this kind of collision, I always like to call it. And I think that we've had the problem that game developers have tried to make really exciting games. That's what they like to do, but that's very hard to do on a blockchain. Certainly blockchains like Ethereum are quite slow, and you have these kind of problems you have to work around. So I think at the moment we're in this, the biggest kind of issues are around how can you make getting people onto blockchains easy, and how can you make blockchain games that use the blockchain exciting? Because at the moment, most people go, I love Fortnite. I don't want to go and play. Why would I play a blockchain game? That's the kind of fundamental thing. If we want to go mass market, which I think most blockchain game developers, they don't want thousands of users, they want millions of users. But at the moment, millions of users are playing, kind of Fortnite or whatever Supercell are putting out, and we need to get those people onto blockchain games. So I think that's still the biggest collision. It's kind of onboarding. It's using wallets. How do people get, cryptocurrency in the first place? Do they need it? Lots of people are trying lots of things, especially about onboarding on wallets and using credit cards to buy tokens or credit cards to buy NFTs. So at the moment on this Star Trek event, you can go and buy, a Star Trek themed ship, and you don't have to have, any cryptocurrency. You can just use a credit card to do that. So that small improvements. I mean, it'll all take time, I think, and I think that's the frustration. I think we all want it to go a lot faster, but I think we have to maybe take a step back and go, this is much harder than we thought. We're doing, we're making little steps, we're making progress, and that's I guess kind of what I want to talk about in the talk and want to celebrate, because I think people are doing really interesting things, and I think we forget this is a really, really difficult kind of task that we're trying to kind of solve.
Well, and the final question, whom do you personally recommend, what kind of people to attend CG conference in Kyiv in October 10th and 11th?
Yeah, well, I think, anyone, my focus is on the pure gaming side, and I think there's, generally there's a really good community about blockchain games. It's fairly small, probably a couple of thousand people globally, and we all kind of know each other, or various parts know each other, on Twitter, on Telegram, or on Discord. So there's a nice community there, but kind of coming together, physically, face to face. You meet your friends who maybe haven't seen since the last crypto games conference. So that's nice to meet them again, and obviously, you meet other people for the first time, and then you kind of just slowly building the community. So I think with conferences, it's very much about you're making the effort to travel to a country and book flights and hotels, all that kind of cost. But the value is you're meeting people, and then you're building that community. And I think that's one of the nicest things for me actually in this space is that generally most blockchain game developers are pretty friendly with each other. Some really deep friendships actually. You have these really kind of strong kind of communities. We've got things like the Blockchain Gamers Alliance, kind of building up, and we're kind of creating these structures. And I think conferences like the Crypto Games Conference are really valuable to kind of building that whole ecosystem.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Qualified networking is the best valid thing in every conference. So ladies and gentlemen, if you are in gaming industry and in blockchain industry and find it useful for your business, please attend the CG conference in Kyiv on October 10th and 11th. See link below. Use your promo code CGC_CryptoEmcee for your 20% ticket discount. And it's also written below. And by the way, we can also meet with you at Human 2 IT conference on October 5 in Minsk, Belarus, in Chainpoint 90 conference October 10th and 14 and 15 in Yerevan, Armenia, and Blockchain Live Europe conference in Moscow, Russia, October 16 and 17, and Georgia Gaming Affiliate Conference in Tbilisi, Georgia, and October 18, and also at Satoshi Invest Summit, Georgia, in October 30 and 31. Visit cryptoemcee.com/events, link below, and find your discount promo codes, and subscribe on our Facebook page or YouTube channel. Stay tuned for the next speakers interview. Jon Jordan, Eugene Romanenko were with you. Thank you for watching Crypto Events Announcements. See you on October 10th and 11th in Kyiv at the CG conference. Stay tuned, stay in gaming, stay crypto, and thank you, Jon Jordan.
Thank you.